You know, here's something that should just go unspoken, right? Regarding Chapo Trap House and all adjacent trends. I'm gonna explain something to you guys. The 2010s were about, and it should have never started as a trend to begin with. So this is basically what happened in the 2010s. Social media became a thing. Trump got elected, and all of a sudden, a bunch of nerds became empowered. The thought to the idea that they are somehow cool. I'm gonna confess something. I have never listened to Chapo Trap House in my life. I don't even know what the sound of this guy's voice is. I don't even know what his voice sounds like, okay? But here's the thing. I've heard... Here's the things I do know about Chapo. Every fucking Chapo guy on Twitter is a piece of shit, fucking scumbag, bitch. Every fucking thing they say, I hate. All their fans, I hate. Okay? They're Hassan people. They go on Hassan's fucking stream and talk bullshit. They're Democratic socialists and they love the fucking DSA. And DSA loves them. And they're ironic hipsters who are just ironic and memers. And nothing in the world is serious. Only Chapo. Okay, that's what we know about Chapo, right? Now, contrast that to infrared. Now, infrared's symbiology is the gorilla and the sun. Why is our symbol the gorillas and suns? I'm gonna explain something to you guys. You guys, this is high level stuff. You're not gonna get it, but I want you to think about it, right? High level stuff. You're not gonna understand it. You're not gonna get it, but I still want you to think about it, okay? This is high level stuff, okay? Ready? Let me explain to you the origin of meme culture on the internet. The origin of meme culture. The origin of irony, memes, Chapo, and all these scumfuck, bitch, stupid little bitches, right? So the internet used to be dominated by a bunch of boards and forums and things like that, where everyone was still rationalistic. The internet was a rationalistic place, where people had this idea that the privileged site that which ideas will be conveyed is through just plain, open, rational thought, right? Something awful, whatever, yeah. Like those, right? Just normal people who are just expressing themselves in a direct, rational way, right? Like, if you had an idea, the idea was the rational way you're explaining it, things like that, right? That was for the period of, like, the 2010s, where, like, when people had rational debates, it was based on, like, the content of the rational, explicit use of reasoning, whatever, right? So the early age of the internet, let's say you got into an argument with someone. The argument's going to be based purely on the rational use of argumentation, right? Everything's going to be purely based on the open, communicative, discursive reason, whatever, right? Now shift to around the time of the Trump era, right? And this actually happened before, but I'm just speeding things up, right? Now, during the Trump era, something changed, right? And it's a shift from conceptual reason to aesthetics as the primary site of the conveyance of information and truth and all that kind of stuff. So Trump, for example, he could go to the Republican debates and, they're all rational people. Marco Rubio and Jeb Bush. Well, I'm arguing on the basis of... And Trump could literally just be like, you're a cuck, right? And he just says that kind of shit, and they lose. So all of a sudden, you have the birth of, memes and aesthetics, this more kind of like ambiguous and partial and unconscious sphere being put into work through the use of, like, irony, particularly in the form of irony and memes and all that kind of stuff. So this had the nerds freaking out, okay? The nerds started to freak out. And the way that nerds like Matt Christman and Felix coped with this new reality of aesthetics overtaking the conceptual use of reason was by treating it as an irony. Like, that's the irony, right? Everything's an irony. Irony became the metaphysical absolute. And why? Because there's clearly a contradiction between our conscious intentions and views of the world and our sense of, the world being consistent and whole, and the reality, right? The world is clearly paradoxical and contradictory, and that's why aesthetics triumph as the primary site of the conveyance of information. Not specifically aesthetics, but memes and irony and jokes and comedy specifically. Because if reality is inconsistent, right, or just not rationally whole, or not rational, whatever, nonetheless, we can acknowledge that. But nonetheless, these memes are still participating in the reality somehow. Listen to what I'm trying to say. It's very important. We can acknowledge that reality is somehow contradictory, inconsistent, and that the conceptual and open use of reason is not enough to give expression to the world and to politics and to, the trends of the world, to the phenomena, to culture. You get that part, right? You understand that? Somehow, the something awful style of forum posting where you're just typing paragraphs and explaining yourself directly by the merits of the use of reason or logic. Another example of this was the rationalistic forum, Less Wrong, right? Less Wrong was like these hyper-logical, hyper-rational people who really wanted to arrive at, exhaust the capacities of human reason in this new form of internet information, communication, whatever. So you get that, right? But the reason memes start to take off isn't just to insist or argue that fact. Like, for example, a meme isn't really rational, right? Think about the meme, the Pepe frog. Think of Pepe the frog, the meme, right? Is that really rational? Is it really convey an argument that can be distilled at the level of conceptual reason, so to speak? No, it's giving expression to something more unconscious and more just indescribable. It's you have to get it or you don't get it, right? So you get that, right? The something awful type of communication and information no longer is able to exhaust the reality, right? Think about the people who lost their minds about Trump's election. Trump's a dumb guy, he doesn't make any sense, he's not a rational guy. Yeah, but nonetheless, he still won, and he's still communicating something meaningful, right? You may not find it conceptually consistent or rational at the level of conceptual consistency or logical consistency, but it's still somehow meaningful. He's still saying things that communicate some kind of meaning among his supporters and in front of the world at large, right? Now, memes started to take this form of disguising themselves behind the pretense of irony. Oh, it's just a joke, right? A meme is just a joke, right? It's just an ironic joke. It's supposed to make you laugh. But even if we move past the joke, memes start to have a history, right? Memes start to actually give expression to our cultural and political and unconscious realities in an intelligible way. For example, the Chad meme, that's the latest one, right? The Chad and the Virgin meme, or whatever, or the Soy Jack meme. It's an ironic joke, right? But it's still saying something. It's still actually saying something. You know what I'm saying? It's still conveying something meaningful. That's what I mean. Now, from the perspective of a something awful rationalist, all memes are the exact same in the sense that they're an ironic joke that's making fun of the ultimate meaninglessness of the world, right? When you look at it at the level of a meme, they're actually different. They're different from each other, right? From 2015 to 2016, 2017, 2018, through the past 5 years, they're actually conveying meaningful things that have a history and have a context and give expression to something, right? Something interesting here is going on, right? We are seeing a shift from the conceptual use of reason or logic as the primary site of truth to some kind of language of the unconscious, right, on the internet. Now, here come the greatest kulaks of the 2010s. Chapo Cuck House. Chapo Bitch House. Chapo Crap House. Kulak Crap House. You understand? Now these people are trying to salvage this older, nerdy, something awful form of, enacting a critical distance to reality by adopting a permanent aesthetic of irony. And the significance of the irony when it comes to Chapo really just amounts to the fact that they're in the know and everyone else is stupid and not in the know. That's the aesthetic, right? We're aware that everything is somehow, meaningless and no one else is. We're smart, everyone's dumb, right? The world is contradictory, but we are somehow wholesome and in the know and knowledgeable, and we're big shit basically, right? I haven't listened to them, but I know their exact aesthetic because I know the people I know their Twitters and the people who follow them. That's enough for me, right? Yeah, it's similar to Hassan with this whole thing of hogs and chuds. These people are trying to enact some kind of security distance away from this unconscious flux of meme culture and stuff. Now contrast their aesthetic to mine. I don't have an ironic distance. I fully embrace, not only do I fully embrace, I fucking become the meme. I embrace the meme. I become fully the meme. So much so that you guys can't even tell if I'm joking or if I'm serious most of the time. And the reason you can't tell if I'm joking or if I'm serious is because the message I'm trying to give to you is that it doesn't even matter. It's not meaningful whether I'm joking or whether I'm serious. What's meaningful is the unconscious idea or thing I'm expressing. When I talk about the Mongols and all that kind of stuff, is it a meme or is it serious? It's not important if it's a meme or if it's serious. What's important is the meme itself. The meme itself is conveying something meaningful, right? Think about our slogan, beyond the visible spectrum, right? The reason it's beyond the visible spectrum of light is because we somehow recognize that this sphere of aesthetics and memes and all that's enough, right? You don't have to try and discern what the actual true meaning is behind it beyond the veil. It's there, so it's beyond the visible spectrum. It's not like there's some visible spectrum of reality that you're going to arrive at that's going to ground the meaning of a meme. It's beyond the visible spectrum of light, okay? I want you to think about our symbolism, and I didn't even choose these fucking emotes. It's just spontaneously the community chose the Gorillas and Sons. Now why? Why did the community just stick with Gorillas and Sons? Think about the dualism of black and gold, right? Light and dark. The gorilla's dark, the sun is light, right? The gorilla in the Gorilla and Sons represents the Freudian id, or the Lacanian unconscious, whatever one you want to call it. Or Bataille's Dionysian ecstasy or whatever, right? This kind of Nietzschean kind of sphere that's just below the surface of the conscious use of reason and rationality, right? And then the sun is this symbol of this kind of this rationalistic good. So the Gorillas and Sons is actually the unity of opposites. Gorillas and Sons basically means that we're going to unite heaven and earth. We're going to unite the head with the body. We're going to, just like Marx wanted to unite philosophy with the proletariat, right? With material reality. That's what Gorillas and Sons means, right? Unlike fucking Chapo Cuck House, these little bitches, right? Who have no sense of either the gorilla or the sun, but try to meander in between in the form of irony, where on the one hand, they will never fully assume a sense of taking anything seriously, and on the other hand, they'll never go full meme mode, right? They'll just stay in between, like this little cuck bitch space in between. Meanwhile, think about an interesting paradox you notice from watching me and watching Infrared. Especially when you look at our infrared vision videos. On the one hand, I'm an extremely serious guy. In the sense, like, I really take this seriously and authentically do believe in it. There's just this sense of authenticity and sincerity, which is there about the fact that I do believe in infrared. I do believe in this. It's not a joke to me. I believe in this. But on the other hand, I'm extremely unserious in the sense that I fully embrace memes and fully embrace the inconsistencies and contradictions within reality, oftentimes in the form of comedy, right? It's not really a comedy where we're laughing at the world. We're laughing at ourselves too. We're laughing at everything. We're just laughing in general. It's almost like Bataille's kind of like, you know, laughter at being itself, right? Laughter at the world, at everything, right? So you have to understand why infrared is the future and Chapo is the past. From a historical perspective, right? We are the next stage of internet culture. The 2020s has no fucking place for these little cuck bitch, millennial, fucking bitter, irony poisoned pussies. Because look, it's not that just these people are just bad when it comes to aesthetics and memes and they're just not that funny or charming or whatever. They're also not smart. Theoretically speaking, they lack any semblance of a grasp of any of the things they're talking about. And then politically speaking, they're fucking bankrupt. Right? Because they emerged out of the Bernie era. They emerged in an era where they're meandering in between, unable to like... And the reason why they're meandering in between these two kind of like opposites is because during the Bernie era with the Bernie bros, they found themselves in a position where on the one hand, they can't fully repudiate the old order that Trump was overthrowing because they're presupposing it. But on the other hand, they have to enact a critical distance toward it because of the way the media was going after Bernie. Right? The media and the establishment was going after Bernie. But on the other hand, they're coming from the perspective of the establishment and the media and the universities and all this kind of shit. Right? So it's like they have a critical distance toward it. But this critical distance is only to like safeguard it in a way. Like they became the ultimate conformists and the ultimate protectors, ideological vanguard protectors of the status quo, because their very critical distance toward the status quo and toward the establishment is exactly what sanctifies it and what legitimizes it. It's what allows all of its internal contradictions, all of its flaws, and all of its inherent inconsistencies to basically be ameliorated in the form of Chapo Trap House irony aesthetic. Instead of actually developing imminently these contradictions in the form of the political destruction of the establishment and rebirth and so on and so on. This kind of dialectic, it's rechanneled into this fucking irony poison Chapo bullshit. And the reason I'm telling you guys this isn't to convince you not to like Chapo. I'm letting y'all in on a little secret. Okay, come here. I'm letting you in on a little secret. Come here. I'm letting you in on a little secret, right? Chapo is fucking obsolete. If you have stocks in Chapo, pull the fuck out of those stocks. These guys are not going to be around in 5 years. In 5 years, there's going to be no Chapo. I would say 2. I would say 1 if I was feeling ballsy. But just to play it safe, 5. 5 years, there's going to be no Chapo. I promise you there's not. Like, their time has come. Historically speaking, their time has come. GarbageApe is a bitch. Whoever GarbageApe is, I think he's a Chapo guy, right? GarbageApe on Twitter, you are a fucking bitch. I'm declaring war on you, and I might ratio you very soon. Little bitch. Fuck GarbageApe.